All right, so today we're diving into how AI is transforming global trade finance.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, how it's changing the way we secure financing and move goods around the world.
Okay.
And you shared this fascinating research paper with me, Trade Finance 2.0,
Right.
how document digitalization empowers AI to revolutionize the process.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it highlights the shift away from those traditional
Yeah,
paper-heavy processes that have been, the standard for so long.
right. It feels like almost everything's going digital.
Yeah.
And trade finance is really no exception.
Mm-hmm.
And this paper dives deep into AI's impact on, optimizing letters of credit,
Right.
combating fraud, predicting risk, and this shift towards electronic documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with letters of credit.
Okay.
I mean, they involve a ton of documentation, which makes them super complex.
Yeah.
So where does AI fit into all of this?
So letters of credit, they traditionally require this mountain of paperwork,
Right.
invoices, certificates of origin, bills of lading. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a logistical challenge for sure.
Sure. It's a huge challenge, and that's where AI comes in
Okay.
with optical character recognition, or OCR.
Uh-huh.
So it can actually, read these documents and extract, the key data
Oh, wow.
using natural language processing,
Oh.
or NLP.
So AI isn't just like digitizing documents, it's actually understanding what's in them.
Exactly. It's not just scanning.
Wow.
It's actually comprehending the content.
That's pretty amazing. So how does that actually help in practice?
Well, then AI can check this information against, all those regulations,
Right.
like the Uniform Customs and Practice for documentary credits, or UCP 600, and the International Standard Banking Practice for documentary credits.
Right.
ISBP 745,
Yeah.
making sure everything's compliant and flagging any inconsistencies that could cause problems.
That's got to be such an improvement over manual review.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
much faster and more accurate.
Does the paper give any real-world examples of this in action?
Yeah, for sure. There's this platform called TradeStream. Okay.
And they use AI to analyze documents for errors, and they can do it in minutes.
Wow.
Manually, that could take hours.
Yeah.
There's this one Asian bank that started using TradeStream, and they saw a 65% reduction in documentary errors.
Wow, that's incredible.
And their international payments sped up by an average of 48 hours.
Those are some serious results. Okay, so what about blockchain?
Okay.
It's making waves in a lot of industries, including trade finance.
Yeah, definitely.
So how does it fit into all of this?
Blockchain platforms like Contour
Mm-hmm.
are really changing how letters of credit work.
Okay.
They're cutting processing times from like the traditional 10 days down to just 24 hours.
That's really fast for international trade.
Yeah, it's almost instantaneous.
So what makes blockchain so effective in this?
Blockchain is all about security and transparency.
Uh,
Every transaction is recorded on this distributed ledger,
mm-hmm.
and it can't be changed.
Right.
So, no single party can alter the record.
Right. This builds trust and, eliminates that risk of fraud, which is a big worry in trade finance.
Yeah, fraud is a huge problem.
Yeah, it costs the industry billions every year.
The paper talks about the impact of fraud in the industry.
Right.
So what types of fraudulent activities are we talking about, and how is AI used to combat them?
So documentary fraud is a big problem, things like forged documents, fake invoices,
Oh, wow.
and that's where AI and machine learning come in.
Okay.
These algorithms can analyze transaction histories to spot those patterns that might indicate fraud.
It's like having a digital detective on the case 24/7.
Exactly.
So how do these algorithms know the difference between legitimate and fraudulent activities?
So these systems are trained on massive data sets
Mhm.
of both, fraudulent and legitimate transactions,
Right.
and they learn to identify those subtle red flags that humans might miss.
Interesting.
They also use those AML and KYC databases,
Uh-huh.
anti-money laundering. Know your customer to verify the parties involved.
So they're not just detecting fraud, they're preventing it by vetting the people involved.
Exactly. It's a multi-layered approach.
Does blockchain play a role in preventing fraud as well?
Oh, absolutely. Blockchain and smart contracts can create secure electronic letters of credit, or ELCs, on that immutable ledger.
Okay.
So once that transaction's recorded, it's basically tamper-proof.
Wow.
Platforms like Comgo and Contour are leading the charge here.
So blockchain adds that extra layer of security
Right.
by making those transactions transparent and unchangeable.
Exactly.
The paper mentioned an example of HSBC using blockchain.
Yeah, they use blockchain to manage an ELC between Reliance Industries in India and ING Bank in Belgium, and it cut processing time from 7 days down to 24 hours.
Wow.
Really highlighting how this technology can streamline transactions while minimizing that risk of fraud.
Yeah, it seems like speed and security are really key here.
Absolutely crucial.
But before any financing happens, banks need to assess the creditworthiness of the companies involved.
Right.
So how is AI transforming that risk assessment process?
Traditionally, risk assessment involved manual analysis of historical data,
Right.
but AI is changing the game by bringing in real-time information
Uh-huh.
and advanced analytics.
So what kind of real-time data are we talking about?
AI uses a lot of data,
Okay.
accounting data, geopolitical indicators, economic trends, even news sentiment.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, but AI can handle it, and it creates these really comprehensive scoring models
Hmm.
that give a much more accurate and dynamic assessment of a company's financial health.
So AI isn't just looking at the past.
Right.
It's predicting the future.
Exactly. It's looking at a much broader set of data points.
How are these predictive models impacting the industry?
So deep learning algorithms can analyze past payment behavior,
Right.
market trends, even news sentiment
Mm-hmm.
to create a much more detailed risk profile.
So it's like a much more well-rounded picture
Exactly.
of their financial health.
And this lets banks make better decisions, adjust credit lines accordingly, and even potentially reduce financing costs for companies with a strong credit history.
That's a pretty big benefit.
Yeah, it can really make a difference.
The paper mentioned a specific example of a bank using AI for risk assessment.
Yeah, Standard Chartered Bank used AI to analyze trade flows
Okay.
and adjust financing conditions in real time.
Mhm.
And they ended up seeing a 15% reduction in bank guarantee costs.
That's a significant cost saving.
Yeah, it shows how AI can optimize risk management
Right.
and lead to more favorable financing terms for businesses.
That's really interesting. Okay, so this brings us to another big trend.
Mm-hmm.
The rise of electronic bills of lading or EBLs
Right.
and electronic letters of credit or ELCs.
Yeah.
Basically, these are the digital versions of those traditional paper documents.
Right.
So what's AI's role in this transition?
So the move to EBLs and ELCs is gaining a lot of momentum because they streamline processes, they reduce costs, and they minimize that risk of fraud. And AI is crucial for this to really work.
Okay.
It enhances automation and interoperability
Mm-hmm.
through platforms like Bolero, SDOCS, WaveBL.
All right.
And this allows for instant verification of document compliance
Oh, wow.
and seamless information exchange.
So it's about creating a digital ecosystem where everything works together smoothly.
Exactly, a fully integrated system.
What kind of impact does this have on processing times compared to the old way?
ELCs can be processed in less than 24 hours,
Wow.
compared to 5 to 10 days for traditional LCs.
That's a huge difference.
It's a massive improvement.
Yeah, 24 hours seems to be a recurring theme here.
Yeah, it really highlights the speed of these new technologies.
It's incredible. So is this shift towards e-documentation gaining traction across the board?
Definitely organizations like the FIT Alliance and the Digital Container Shipping Association, or DCSA,
Okay.
they're setting standards for these digital documents, which is driving adoption.
And big players like Maersk and HSBC are already implementing them.
Yeah, they're leading the way.
The paper highlighted a collaboration between Maersk and HSBC.
Yeah, they partnered on a fully digital transaction using an EBL on blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
This led to a 30% reduction in administrative costs
Wow.
and a 50% reduction in settlement times.
Those are some pretty significant improvements, it seems like. The future of trade finance is digital.
Yeah, it's moving in that direction for sure.
But I imagine there's still some challenges to overcome
Oh, definitely.
before these technologies are fully adopted.
Uh-huh.
What are some of those hurdles that the industry needs to address?
Yeah, there are a few key things that need to be tackled to really make this work smoothly. One major issue is the lack of interoperability between different EBL platforms. We have Bolero SDOCS, WaveBL,
Yeah,
and others, each with their own system.
right.
And these systems don't always talk to each other,
Yeah, it's like having different languages spoken in different regions.
Exactly.
It makes it hard to communicate and slows everything down.
Yeah, it creates a lot of friction in the process. Are there any other challenges besides that?
What else is going on?
Legal acceptance of EBLs is another big one.
Uh-huh.
It varies so much from country to country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some have embraced electronic documents fully,
Yeah.
while others are still behind in terms of, legal frameworks and regulations.
So something that works fine in one country could run into problems in another
Exactly. It's a patchwork of different interpretations.
because of the laws.
Yeah. So harmonizing those regulations is crucial for this to really take off.
It seems like it would be.
Yeah. And then there's bank adoption.
Hmm.
Despite all the benefits of ELCs,
Right.
only about 21% of banks are actually using them.
That's surprisingly low.
Yeah, it's a major roadblock to wider adoption.
Why is that? I mean, with all the advantages we've talked about,
Right.
you would think banks would be all over this.
You would think so, but there are a few reasons.
Okay.
Some banks have these old legacy systems that just aren't compatible with ELCs.
Right.
Integrating new technologies into those old infrastructures can be
Yeah.
really complex and expensive.
That's a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge for them, so that's one factor.
Okay. Are there other concerns that banks might have?
Yeah, some banks are hesitant because of security concerns.
Uh,
While blockchain is really secure,
right.
there's always some level of worry when you're dealing with, sensitive financial transactions.
Of course, they want to make sure everything is safe.
Yeah, they have to be cautious.
Absolutely.
And then there's the lack of clear regulatory frameworks for ELCs in some places. And that uncertainty makes banks hesitant.
So it's a combination of things.
Yeah, technology, security regulations, it all plays a role.
So are there any efforts underway to address these challenges and promote the use of ELCs?
Oh, yeah, there are some promising initiatives going on.
Okay, tell me about them.
One big one is standardizing electronic documents. UN CITRL's Model Law on Electronic Transferable Records, or MLETR,
Okay.
aims to provide that global legal framework
Right.
for using electronic documents in trade.
That sounds like a really important step.
It's crucial for harmonizing those regulations
Yeah.
and creating a more unified global system.
Are there other initiatives focused on collaboration and knowledge sharing in the industry?
Yeah, collaboration between banks and fintech companies is key here.
Huh.
Banks need to work with fintechs
Mm-hmm.
to integrate ELCs into their existing systems
Right.
and address those technical and security concerns they might have.
It's about bridging that gap.
Exactly, bringing those two worlds together.
Is anyone specifically working on this kind of collaboration?
Yeah, organizations like the FIT Alliance are doing great work there.
Yeah.
They're fostering dialogue and partnerships between banks, fintechs, and other stakeholders.
So the FIT Alliance is like a catalyst, bringing everyone together.
Exactly. They're facilitating those connections.
What kind of achievements or insights have come out of these collaborations?
So the FIT Alliance report from 2024
Mm-hmm.
says that 94% of businesses see the benefits of ELCs for international trade.
Wow, that's a huge majority.
Yeah, it shows that awareness and acceptance of these digital instruments is growing.
So businesses are starting to get it.
Yeah, they're seeing the potential.
Has that translated into more adoption of ELCs?
Yeah, adoption has actually gone up by 50% since 2022.
That's really good.
And it's mainly banks and large corporations that are leading the way.
They're the early adopters.
Exactly. They're the ones driving that change.
So despite the challenges, there's real momentum building.
Yeah, it's definitely moving in the right direction.
What do you see as the most critical factors for the future of this?
I think global regulatory harmonization and seamless platform interoperability are key.
Okay.
We need a consistent legal framework that works across borders.
Right.
And we need those different EBL platforms to communicate seamlessly.
To ensure smooth transactions.
Exactly. And that will lead to faster transactions, lower costs, reduced risk, and more transparency.
It sounds like a win-win for everyone involved.
Exactly. It's about creating a better system for global trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been a really fascinating look into this world.
Yeah, and you know what strikes me is that we're seeing this convergence of AI digitalization and blockchain. They're not just working separately. They're kind of like feeding off of each other
Yeah,
and
definitely.
creating this force that's driving this big transformation in trade finance.
It's a real synergy between these technologies.
It's not just like small improvements. It feels like a fundamental change
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
in how global trade is financed and actually done.
Right,
What does this mean for businesses, though,
right.
beyond the banks and financial institutions?
Well, this shift has implications for everyone, really.
Okay.
It creates more opportunities for businesses of all sizes to participate in global trade.
Right.
And this is particularly beneficial for SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises.
Right. They often struggle with the complexity of international trade.
Exactly. And this helps level the playing field.
Makes it more inclusive.
Right. It democratizes access to trade finance and allows SMEs to compete more effectively.
And that could have a big impact on economic growth.
Absolutely, it can.
especially in developing countries.
Yeah, it fosters innovation, creates jobs, boosts economies.
This paper really highlights the potential of these technologies,
It does.
but it also acknowledges that we're still early in this journey.
Right, we're just at the beginning.
So what do you see as the key developments that need to happen to really realize the full potential?
So widespread adoption of ELCs and EBLs is definitely coming.
Hmm.
But to get there, we need to overcome those hurdles.
Right, like we talked about.
Global regulatory harmonization is key.
Okay.
A consistent legal framework that works across borders.
So everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. It's essential for smooth international transactions.
What else is important?
Seamless platform interoperability.
Hmm.
We need these different EBL platforms to communicate effectively
Right.
and exchange information securely.
So no more silos.
Right. It's about creating a truly integrated digital ecosystem.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
Before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
I think everyone should really think about how this is going to affect their work,
Yeah.
especially if they're involved in international business or finance.
Right.
Think about how these advancements could change the way you operate, manage risk, interact with partners globally.
It's a really exciting time to be a part of this.
It's a whole new world of possibilities.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure.